Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. My name is Crown and today we are going to have some more stories that I hope that you will enjoy. But before we start, it would be so much appreciated if you would subscribe to the channel, like the video if you enjoyed it, and maybe leave a comment down below. These simple clicks would mean a lot to the future of this channel and really reward the effort that I put in every day. And now, without further ado, let's go! I have a German Shepherd dog for security. For that, we intentionally didn't socialize outside of family members so we wouldn't be friendly with people. He does his job extremely well to the point that some teen boys have made it their weekend hobby to see if they can piss him off to the point he jumps off the fence to attack them. He knows not to go out the gate unless I'm with him. He won't even follow my husband out the gate or go through the gate when we are bringing cars in or out. Only time he leaves the gate is if I'm going to check the mail, then he has his body pressed against mine the entire time. Well, today I went out to check the mail and these turds come flying down the road on dirt bikes. And one has a big grin on his face and swerves into my driveway, almost hitting me. And my dog does something I've only seen him do one other time. He lunges for this kid. Every hair on his body is on end, teeth bared, and almost pulled me over because I had grabbed his collar when I heard the dirt bikes, but said once he realized I had hold of him. This kid turns around and screams at me, "What the hell, you psycho witch? Your mutt almost bit me." My dog is extremely well trained, but I'm not. And I'm not letting some little brat get away with this. I clinched the collar. First off, you almost hit me on my property. Second, I think he deserves to get several bites in on each of you like furs, since you spent every weekend since we got here taunting him. And third, if I ever see you near my fence again, I will be calling the sheriff and reporting you for animal cruelty and provoking an attack. Not my proudest moment, but I'm not one to mess around with my safety, especially since I have an 18-month-old that I usually take out with me, but she was napping today. This kid retorts, "I'll just give the worthless mongrel some antifreeze tonight." And that's where I drop the collar, and boy was he lucky my dog won't leave my side. Because every hair goes back on end, and he's barking, growling, and snapping at this kid without getting any closer to him. His friends all take off, but this one brat isn't backing down, so I call the sheriff department and explain the situation. As soon as I give them my address, I hear in the background, "Have her put the call on speaker." It was the kid's mom, so I do. The kid goes ghost white as she lays into him. Apparently this wasn't his first time taunting or threatening animals, and he has a record a mile long for other offenses. I'm basically standing there with my still pissed off dog, being the entire reason for a tongue lashing of a teen by his mother because I inadvertently called her at work. This kid goes home after like he had been physically injured, and I go get my mail and dog's still at my side. 2 hours later, a sheriff's car pulls into my driveway and honks. It's the mother. I now have her personal number. If I ever have any more problems with the teen boys of the area, I'm going to call her directly and she will inform the parents of each kid that they need to educate their sons on how to behave in a civilized society. The only other time my dog behaved the way he did today was when we first moved to the area after 4 years in the military, and my stepbrothers have been told not to go near him because he was aggressive and didn't like strangers if my husband or I wasn't there for an introduction, and both ignored the warning and came up to him in tandem when he was asleep in my mom's yard. We had a coworker who always attempted to get out of doing just about every single task at our store. She had been there for about 15 years, so the managers just cuddled her along because if they pushed her too hard, they know she'd make a huge scene or file a lawsuit. It was absolutely ridiculous what this woman would get away with, and it greatly irritated all the employees. She came to work one day, complaining that she had sprained her ankle at home and would now require a chair to sit on between waiting on customers at the register. It is important to know that she did not have a doctor's note for this ailment. It also meant that she could no longer assist restocking shelves on truck day nor participate in removing sales tags and putting up the new sales tags, which are huge time-consuming tasks for the entire staff. She'd just sit on her throne, as we called it, and read her trashy romance novels all day long when she didn't have customers to ring up. Pretty cozy setup, right? The rest of us were out on the floor working our tails off while she just sat there reading and munching on whatever snacks she brought with her that day. After about 2.5 weeks of her whining about her still sore ankle, one day her husband was really late in picking her up after her shift. So she just gathered up her handbag, books, and put away her throne. As she's walking to the door to leave, she casually states, "I'm tired of waiting around, so just tell my husband that I walked down to McDonald's. You know, I'm hungry. Tell him so he can just pick me up there." McDonald's is about 3 blocks down the road. Quite a distance for a person with a bad ankle to walk. 20 minutes later, her husband arrived and asked the store manager where she was. The store manager had no idea, and so he asked me. And I told him the truth. She said she was hungry, so she walked out to McDonald's to get something to eat. She told me to tell you to pick her up there. As the husband exits the store manager turns around and furiously grabs a throne, throws it in his office, locks it, and announces, "We're done playing this game." She never got her throne back after that incident, and we all rejoiced when she finally quit a month later. Update: she had a royal hissy fit the next day over losing her throne. Pun intended. The manager put her on a 90-day probation period for this stunt. I wasn't at work when the things hit the fan, but my co-workers all said they could hear her screaming from inside the manager's office, and they were all laughing. When she finally emerged from her long lashing in the manager's office, she was very quiet and mopped all day, trying to gain sympathy from the customers until the manager stopped her by stating, in front of the customers, "If you're healthy enough to walk 3 blocks to McDonald's, you're healthy enough to do your job standing like everyone else. Any more comments on this, and I'm sending you home." She was so furious that she called in sick for the rest of the week. Finally, the store manager called and told her that if she didn't report to work for her next shift, he'd demand a doctor's note for her 4-day absence or fire her. He also reminded her that she was on probation, so she better get healed real quick. She came to work the next day, miraculously healed. It was a miracle. Next, the store manager assigned her to work some closing shifts with me, because she always refused them before. The manager told me in confidence that he did this because he knew I wouldn't allow her to slack off on the closing shift duties, and he was correct. During the entire shift, I kept reminding her of the duties she had to complete before she left, and she kept telling me that she's just going to leave when her husband comes to get her. Fine, but only if you've completed all of your job. We can both stay here all night if that's what it takes. The choice is yours. I am not the one on probation. When she realized that she wasn't going to get around me, she finally got busy. And again, another miracle. She completed all her tasks before closing. And 2 weeks later, she gave notice. The queen finally gave up her throne. Edit 2. Just so we're clear, the queen's throne was a simple folding chair. It sat too low to run the register from a seated position, so she had to stand to ring customers out. Today, my general manager got the pettiest revenge on some rude bar guests, and it was so satisfying. A group of guys sat at the bar and ordered some burgers. One guy neglects to tell the other bartender that he wanted to add bacon and pulled pork on his sandwich. The bartender asked if he wanted the stuff on the side or a new burger, and he said a new burger, but still wanted to eat the one he had. No problem. He explained he would have to pay for both burgers and said it was fine. When it came time to pay, the bartender cashed out his tab with a card on file, with his permission. And when he got the bill, he was mad he was charged with 2 burgers. The other bartender explained that he had to pay for both because that's what he asked for, and that his other burger was being boxed in a window. He made a scene about it, saying he didn't want a new burger now, it wanted a refund. Our bar manager deleted the payment and gave him his new check with the 1 burger that he ate on it. He paid in cash for the new check, but left like $5 short of his total. Our GM saw the entire thing go down. The guy who didn't pay his tab all the way walked out before the other 2 guys that were sitting. They also happened to be wearing their work shirts for a lawn care/sodding business with a phone number on it. The other bartender said he didn't mind paying the $5, but my manager said screw that, and he called the dude's boss. Told him that he behaved very rudely and shorted his tab, to which that guy's boss replied, "That jerk." Within 5 minutes the guy came back in with the $5 he shorted. Long story short, if you're going to short your tab, do not do it in your uniform with your boss's phone number on the back. Edit. Managers do not force us to pay for any shortcomings of guests. He just wanted the ordeal to be over with after the interaction, and obviously didn't pay for the remainder. So many years ago, I was a staff assistant in a major university department with 18 professors. I had worked up through the ranks and now supervised 4 secretaries, among other duties. We had hired a secretary, Jay, who had tested well and had reasonable experience. She was 3 months into a 6-month probation. This was in a typewriter days, so accuracy and ability to make quick corrections was crucial. It took considerable skill to reinsert, line up a section of text, and make a flawless correction. But that was standard at the time and vital to the sheer volume of documents our professors needed. 30-plus page resumes aka CVs, research papers, clinical reports and so on, as well as class syllabi, handouts and tests for 25-plus classes each quarter. So there were lots of typing and corrections. New secretaries were assigned 4 or 5 professors, and I provided backup when I needed, which happened usually twice a month. Anyway, the day came when Jay had to be terminated as she was untrainable. I had been proofing and verifying changes all along as part of her training, but by this time was typing her assigned work from start to finish. This was because her assigned 4 professors refused to have her touch their work due to incompetence, and yet they felt sorry for her. They didn't feel as sorry for me, who had to take over 95% of her work. She only answered the phone. One professor, Dr. A, who had been the most vocal about her incompetence, became sympathetic toward her. Once she was given a termination notice of 2 weeks, he decided she was so nice and deserved another chance that he persuaded the department chair to give her another chance. So Jay's notice was extended to 4 weeks. To say I was livid would be a gross understatement. So the next morning, I turned back over all of Dr. A's work to Jay. All document discussions with Jay, proofing, correcting and so on, would be done by Dr. A. By noon, he was begging me to reconsider as she was so incompetent. I refused and the chair backed me. I made it clear to the chair the consequences to him if he didn't back me this time. Dr. A suffered, and bonus was the other professors treat carefully around me thereafter. Dr. A learned his lesson, and we worked together for 10 more years. Fun note, he was my favorite professor and like a second father to me. And now we have reached the end of today's stories. Thank you for watching and see you next time.